Good to be here. Good to be back. I was in Flint, Michigan last Wednesday and, well, flew into Flint. Really spent most of the time in Midland and lovely little school there. Woodward University, I think. And 2,000 students, all of them economics students. And after my little experience with Malibu Trotsky, I was thinking, man, this is gonna be tough. But they were lovely. They were absolutely lovely. Beautiful campus, great school, a lot of fun. They may have taped that. It was warm in there too under the lights. I had it's kind of like a revival meeting in the South. Like we're sweating and all this stuff, talking about where we are. I did drink the water, by the way, in the hotel. And I wouldn't call it delicious water, but it looked like water, So there you go. So that's why I was away last weekend. Let's see. Everything else is coming together pretty well on the Star Citizen front. It's about time for us to go public with that after a mere 3 months of talking about it, and that's all I'll say about it tonight. But those of you that emailed us, back 6 or 7 years ago, we will be getting back to you shortly. I just finished the last of the graphics that I needed about an hour ago. Oh, hey, look at that. Guatemalan Water Snake is Northwood alumni. Well, congratulations. I loved it there. I thought it was lovely. I saw a black squirrel there. I didn't know there was such a thing. And I really didn't. So that was fun. And it looks like, let me see if there's any questions about it. I don't know. Let me see. If not, I probably won't take it. Yeah, it looks like we're not going to be doing any more of the hot mic shows. Just turned out that the NRA couldn't come to an agreement in terms of the workload, which was a great deal more than I thought it was when I started 3 months ago. And sad when these kind of things happen, but I have nothing but the highest respect for that organization. They certainly seem to feel the same way about me. It's just one of those things. Just couldn't get there. So. I will be doing something else with that time because it was taking more and more of my time every day. And now I'm finished with the Grant show at 10:15, and it's like, my God, I've got a whole day. So going to be doing some couple of firewalls, try and shoot those tomorrow. I got one of them written. The other one it's going to be. I haven't decided exactly what to call it. I'm thinking of calling it Socialism for Suckers. And no, I won't be doing a live show. I might be able to do something else somewhere, but right now I'm not going to be doing the live TV. Go back to doing what we were good at before. I like the show too, Brent. I thought it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm thinking of calling it Socialism for Suckers, or maybe Socialism is for Suckers. Basically just going to be 3 points, Venezuela is the richest country in South America, maybe in the Western Hemisphere, in terms of oil reserves and in terms of money that is literally sitting under the ground, under your feet, that you don't have to work for. It's just there for you to basically, pull it out and sell it. So they've lost 20 pounds, and if you love furry little animals and you're one of those people who love socialism and you love furry animals, then your socialism means that people are eating furry animals. They're eating neighborhood dogs and cats, and they're going to the zoo, not to look at the animals, but to eat them. Socialism strikes again. Undoubtedly, this one they didn't do right either. But, this is after 11 or 12 tries and, 100, 200 million people killed. Nobody knows how many, because the socialists don't seem to care much about human life. But after maybe 11 or 12 tries, you might want to think that perhaps it's not such a good idea. I was talking with somebody about Venezuela, and they say, well, it's like they didn't do it right. I said, no, that's exactly the right. They did it exactly the right way in Venezuela. It's designed to take power with the fig leaf of, hey, we're doing it to help our fellow Venezuelans. So there's that, point one. Point two, man of the people, Fidel Castro, champion of the little guy and standing up to the imperial Yankee businessmen and, just a real modest guy who, you know, still wears army fatigues when he was in his 80s or 90s or whatever. And when he died, he had $800 million. $800 million in his personal bank account. That's what he had personally, which he stole from the Cuban people. And I might tell a quick little story of how that works. I had some people who were in Havana not too long ago. And they said, basically, here's what happens. When you go to Havana, you get assigned, you get a taxi driver, basically. And this guy is with you for your entire stay. And when they said with you for the entire stay, they mean 24 hours a day. The guy's sleeping in his car outside a 4-day visit or something. Go to a nightclub, go to a hotel, whatever. He's there all the time. And here's the math. He's there all the time because he got a taxi license from, and was really pointed out to me, I almost said from the Cuban government, but from the Castros. The Castros gave this guy a license to drive a cab in Havana. Now, because he's a cab driver, it's a little more upscale, and you know you're exposed to a little more foreigners and stuff. So instead of the $50 a month of regular wages that the Cubans get, he got $100. And here's the kicker: in order to maintain his taxi driver's license, he has to pay the Castros $6,000 a month. They pay him $100. He has to pay $6,000. In order to pay $6,000 back and keep anything after that, you have to work pretty much 24 hours a day. And the reason that this guy works 24 hours a day is because working 24 hours a day as a cab driver is better than not. So $800 million. I wonder how many cab drivers had to spend how many hours, and how many people out there working in sugarcane fields and all the rest. You know, these well-intentioned suckers out there thinking they're doing this for the people or the proletariat or any of the rest of that stuff. No, the Castros, Fidel took it and he got it in a bank account. It says it's not going anywhere. So that's point number 2. And point number 3, Bernie Sanders, man of the people, who says that it's disgusting that wealthy people have yachts and expensive cars and all the rest while there are people hungry. Bought his third house. I have to tell you, I'm just going to stop right there. Maybe that'll just be a one-sentence firewall. If you can vote for I can understand you voting for Bernie Sanders because you're an idiot. You don't know anything about life, and the reason you like socialism is because you live in a capitalist society. I get that, and I understand when you're young. I was talking with Natasha about this yesterday or 2 days ago. It's kind of ironic, isn't it, that we send people off to college when they are at peak stupidity. I never really realized that until a night or two ago. People go off to get educated at the exact moment in life where they reach peak stupidity. Prior to being a teenager and in their 20s and early 20s, life is new and interesting, and wow, look at that. Why is the sky blue, and what is that thing, and all the rest of it. And then after your teens and 20s, after life's had a little time to beat the stupid out of you, then you realize that all these things you thought you invented and never had ever, no one's ever thought of this again, and no one's ever been this this pure, and no one's ever been this faithful, and no one's ever going to do the right things that we did, and they all failed. Older generations failed because, because the people sold out, but I'm not going to sell it because I'm not a sellout, and so on and so on and so on. So you're really at peak stupidity there. And you get smarter after college, and you're smarter before college, but we send people off to get educated when they think they know everything. So I can understand why some of those people would be lured by socialism, especially when you're a college student and the idea of wealth redistribution sounds like stuff's coming your way. But when Bernie Sanders owns 3 houses, it's over. How can anyone possibly support this? I don't know what the conservative equivalent would be. I guess the conservative equivalent would be what many people in the Republican Party do, which is go out and vote for, single-payer health care. But simply can't believe it. And it's great. I think it's terrific because I am ready. Anytime anybody says anything about socialism, they're going to be talking about Bernie. And I'm going to say, well, listen, I'm just going to shut up for a minute. And you tell me why Bernie Sanders has 3 houses and complains about rich people not paying their fair share. I'll just sit here and wait for your answer. The lakefront home, $600,000. The person who told me about the lakefront home said that he confronted a young socialist about Bernie Sanders' third home, and the kid's response was, "Yeah, well, Bernie works really hard," and my answer was, "Duh, he doesn't." But put that aside. Put it aside. If you're saying, "Gosh, they work really, really hard, therefore they deserve a $600,000 house and three houses, three residences," and since Bernie didn't generate any wealth, it's really not his $600,000. If I'm producing something of value, certainly I've certainly created hundreds of dollars, literally hundreds of dollars of wealth over the last 8-9 years. But I'm producing something and I get paid for it. Bernie gets paid to take Bernie Sanders gets paid to take your money, and so do all of the politicians. Really, we're paying them to take our money. But there's no response to this. There's just no response to it. 3 houses. Yeah. I don't think Bernie's ever worked a day in his life, really. He's been a rabble-rouser and a politician, and he gets paid to talk. And he's saying, "Oh, do we really need 16 different brands of deodorant in this country? Why don't we just have 1 or 2 brands and spend the rest of the money on the poor?" It's like, wait a minute. There's not... Bernie, it's not like there's a... It's not a zero-sum game. If we make 16 different brands of deodorant, that doesn't mean there's 16 times more deodorant than we need. Do you understand how that works, Bernie? It just means that the market is split into 16 pieces. And I know you don't like the idea of choice, although you certainly call yourself pro-choice. You want to live in a world where everything's pretty much regimented and controlled by you. Yeah, George Freeland says, in capitalist America, bread lines up for you. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Here in America, bread lines up for you. You walk into a supermarket, and there are, 60 different kinds of bread there waiting for you with bright labels and other hooks, organic and, and gluten-free and all of these other little fireworks they're shooting off to get you to buy that bread. The bread waits for you in America. That's the one thing that he wants to destroy. So socialism is for suckers. And I'll see if I can get that down to a manageable length. Okay.